How is it going? Hi Live Tribe, Patrick James here for another little bit of value that I'm going to offer you in the form of value, in the form of video. So here we go. The other day I posted a video about the top 10 rules to never do in conversation, all right? Never do those or you're gonna kill your charisma in conversation. And I got a comment on the video from a man named Emmanuel. Now Emmanuel asked me, or he commented, and he was like, Patrick, you have a really good free flow muscle. He asked if there was any exercise that I could give him to develop that free flow muscle to a ginormous size like mine is right now. And yes, there is an exact exercise that I do every single day to develop this within myself, and I'm gonna give that to you right now. That exercise is very simple. It's called life, all right? Life. Now, life is weird because if you play it wrong, you're gonna get shitty results. But if you play it right, you're gonna get great results, okay? You're gonna get awesome results. You're gonna get a lot of people who fucking love you. And if you play it wrong, you're gonna get a lot of people that just think you're average, okay? So here's the example of how to play it wrong. Have you ever heard back in the day when you were a little kid maybe in school, and you probably heard this from your teachers or maybe even your peers or maybe even your parents or your siblings or anybody. Have you ever heard them say, do you ever think before you speak? Like, what are you saying right now? Do you ever think before you speak? I used to hear that all the time when I was a kid. And yeah, it's like that tonality of them saying that to you, it's like kind of scolding you and you just think, oh shit, maybe I should think before I speak. And that is life's way of holding you back. That is life's way of keeping you average, okay? Don't do that. Fuck that. I used to hear that all the time back when I played the game wrong. Now I'm playing it right, all right? So come over to the right side. So there are only 3 rules to play the game of life right, okay? Only 3 rules. Rule number 1, have a high self-esteem for no reason other than the fact that you know you're the shit. That's it, all right? Steve Jobs had the conviction that he was meant to be great. That's just his belief. He had a high self-worth. Albert Einstein once said that great people and successful people know that they're going to be great and successful before they even get there. All right, they just know. They have a high self-worth. So you should have a high self-worth if you want to win at the game of life. And if you have a high self-worth, you are going to say whatever you want. There's going to be no filter because you believe that whatever you have to say is the fucking shit because, of course, you are the fucking shit. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is don't give a fuck. Whatever you say is the shit because it comes from your mouth. I just believe that. And I'm not acting to offend anybody. I abide by my rule or my technique, I guess, my acronym, self-amusing positive assumptions. I say things to amuse myself because I'm the shit and I assume all positive things. I assume whatever I say is going to be taken positively, okay? Because I'm not acting to hurt anybody else. I'm not acting negatively. I'm self-amusing, assuming all positive things, and being positive myself. So that's rule number 2. Quit giving a fuck how other people take your words because at the end of the day, you don't have control over how other people feel. They have control over that. I only have control over how this guy feels. That's it. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3, we already alluded to it, was don't have a filter. Now, that's kind of like, that's not necessarily the complete truth because the truth is everybody has a filter. Everybody has a filter. From here to there is a filter and it's somewhere in here. And, but the only thing that clogs that filter, the only thing that censors your words, the only thing that impairs your free flow muscle is actually giving a fuck. So if you get rule number 1 and rule number 2 right, then rule number 3 will be very easy. Get rid of that fucking filter and say whatever you want because you know at the end of the day that what you're gonna say is the fucking shit. And if it doesn't make sense, fuck it. If people don't like it, fuck it. Funny story, back in college, there was a phrase that people would say about me, and I took it as a compliment. I don't know if they meant it as a compliment, but I took it as a compliment, and that's just a result of me having this high self-worth and high self-esteem. And here's what they would say about me. They'd always go, Patrick is just as surprised at the words that comes out of his mouth as everybody else is. And it was so true, all right? I would say things before thinking about it, because when people used to try to make me average and they would say, do you ever think before you say anything? I'd be like, no. And I kept fucking going. And yeah, I kept that up through college, and people would say that about me, and it just strengthened that frame even more. Now, you don't need people to say that about you to have a self-image where you're just gonna say whatever you want and you have a high self-worth. You can just choose to believe it. Just choose to have a high self-worth from today on. Choose to believe that. Write it down in your journal every single morning. That's what I do. I choose my self-image, because if you do not consciously choose how you're gonna view yourself, then the world is gonna do that for you. And I guarantee the world and the game of life is gonna try to keep you average. And we are not average on the High Life Tribe, all right? We are not average. You are not average. I'm not average. We are not average. So, on that note, I'll get out of here, man. Say what you want to say, do what you want to do, win at the game of life. And I'll see you later.
And here's to all the unbelievers. You know, the ones that don't believe us. Baby, play it for your ex too. And all the kids around my table yelling F you.